गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ओम गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपवस्त्रवस्त्रमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणान् ब्रह्मणस्पत आनुशृण्वोति विश्वेदसादनम्। ओम महागणाधिपतये नमः। ओम केशवाय नमः। ओम नारायणाय नमः। ओम माधवाय नमः। ओम गोविंदाय नमः। ओम विष्णुवे नमः। मत्सूदनाय नमः। त्रिविक्रमाय नमः। वामनाय नमः। श्रीधराय नमः। ऋषिकेशाय नमः। पद्मनाभाय नमः। दामोदराय नमः। संकर्षणाय नमः। वासुदेवाय नमः। प्रद्युम्नाय नमः। अनिरुद्धाय नमः। पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः। दोक्षाय नमः। नारसिंहाय नमः। नरसिंहाय रुद्राय नमः। नरसिंहाय नमः। अच्युताय नमः। जनार्दनाय नमः। उपेन्द्राय नमः। हरे नमः। श्री कृष्णाय नमः। शंभवे नमः। विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यंबकाय त्रिपुरांतकाय त्रिकाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकंठाय मृत्युंजयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन् महादेवाय नमः। हरि ओम हरि ओम। ओम हाइं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुंडाय विच्चे। ओम हाइं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुंडाय विच्चे। ओम हाइं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुंडाय विच्चे। हरि ओम। Dear friends and devotees, we finished the 19th chapter of the fourth book of Sri Mad Devi Bhagavatham Mahapuranam of 18,000 shlokas of Maharshi Veda Vyasa construction. Now we are coming to the 20th chapter of the fourth book on Devaki's marriage and Krishna's incarnation. Vyasa Maharishi said to Janakaraja, the king of Hastinapura, I now narrate to you about the relief of the burden of the Bhudevi, the destruction of the Yogamaya of the armies of Kurukshetra and Prabhasa, the two sacred places. One is Kurukshetra and another is Prabhasa Kshetra. And about the birth due to the curse of Bhrigu Maharishi of the Bhagavan Hari of unparalleled prowess under the influence of Mahamaya in the race of Yadu and Yaduvamsha. Now here, Vishnu's taking birth in the world was effected under the circumstances caused by Yogamaya to relieve the burden of the earth of Bhudevi. This is Vyasa Maharshi is telling like that. Prabhasa is another kshetra. Prabhasa is a well-known place of pilgrimage near Dwaraka in Gujarat state. Prabhasa kshetra is a very well-known religious important pilgrimage place. O King Janamejaya, when the goddess Mahamaya, the incarnate of the three qualities, can make Brahma, Vishnu, and other devas dance incessantly as their internal controller, then what wonder that she would appear charming to the other jivas and make them dance incessantly as wooden dolls. All the troubles incurred in remaining in the womb amidst the urine, excreta, and tissues she would brought to bear finally on Vishnu by her ever famous Leela, divine support. All the troubles incurred in remaining in the womb of the mother, in the urine bag and excreta and tissues, other tissues, she had brought to bear finally on Vishnu by her ever famous Leela, divine sport. In those days, Rama's incarnation, she, that supreme goddess, made the gods become monkeys, and you know very well already what amount of trouble Bhagavan Vishnu had to undergo by the hard iron chain of bondage. This is mine, this is I, etc., imposed by Maya. The yogis who want to final liberation and who have abandoned all their attachments and who want devotion, they worship the supreme goddess Bhagavati, Bhuvaneshwari of the universe, the incarnation of auspiciousness. O King Janamejaya, who will not serve her? A trace of devotion towards whom affects at once the salvation of the jivas. If any human being utters simply the name Bhuvaneshwari, the goddess of universe, she gives him the three worlds, and if anyone cries and utters for help, save me, then the goddess Bhuvaneshwari, Rajarajeshwari of the universe, being unable to find anything that she can repay him as a fit recompense for his utterance, becomes herself indebted to that man. O King Janamejaya, the Vidya, the knowledge, Avidya, the non-knowledge, and spiritual ignorance, lower knowledge. Her two forms, Vidya gives liberation, Avidya causes bondage. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, all these and their avatars are her instruments and are under her subjection, are under subjection, as if they are all fastened by a cord. The Bhagavan Hari sometimes resides in Vaikuntha, sometimes resides in the sea of milk and enjoys the pleasure, sometimes fights the powerful of Dhanavas, sometimes performs extensive sacrificial ceremonies, sometimes performs severe asceticism, and sometimes takes a deep sleep under the guidance of Yogamaya. Thus he never becomes free and independent. O King, and like Vishnu, Brahma, and Rudra, the other gods, Indra, Varuna, Yama, Kubera, Agni, and the sun and moon, and other celestial gods, the Shankara and other Munis, Vasistha and other Rishis, all are incessantly controlled by the supreme goddess Bhagavati Rajarajeshwari, as if they are the dolls in the hands of playing magician. All the devas are controlled by the noose of time, just as oxen are brought under the control by men by strings passed through their noses. O King, pleasure, pain, sleep, lassitude, idleness, and other passions and feelings are always found inherent in every embodied being. All the living beings are having this pleasure and pain, sleep, lassitude, idleness, and other passions. Likings and feelings are always found inherent in every living being. The Devas are written down by authors in their book as not subject to death or decay. This statement is merely a nominal and not real. For whoever is always subject to birth, growth, decay, and death, how can we call him immortal or beyond old age and death? Why do the Devas get into sorrows and troubles? How can they be called gods? How can one enjoy when one is involved in a trouble? In this world, it is seen mosquitoes and other insects born from water die after a very short time. So, like these, the Devas at the expiry of their ordained life period die too. Then why not the Devas be treated like those insects? Why not shall we term them mortal? Some human beings live 1 year, some others live up to 100 years. The Devas live longer than man. The life of the Prajapati Brahma exceeds those of the Devas. Rudra lives longer than Brahma, and Vishnu lives longer than Rudra. All these are thus subject by turns to birth, growth, and decay. Those who are born, they die. Those that die are again born. Thus, O King, in this world all the jivas, no doubt, move around and round like a wheel. The jivas are deluded by the network of moha, maya, charms, and thus deluded. They can never gain final release. So long as maya exists in them, their delusion is not destroyed. O King, at the time of creation, Brahma and all others came into existence in due order, and these will duly dissolve at the time of the great dissolution, the pralaya. When the pralaya comes, all these will dissolve. Whatever is the cause of destruction to anybody here that destroys the body in question, according to the willpower of the supreme goddess, whatever is created by Brahma, no, none can undo that. Whatever is the cause of destruction to anybody here in the earth that destroys the body in question. According to the willpower of the Supreme Goddess, whatever is created by Brahma, no, none can undo that. Know this as a perfectly certain. Know this, the predestined law that the birth, death, and old age, diseases, pain, or pleasure overtake all the jivas according to the prescribed order of nature. Never these laws fail to operate in their actions. Where the Vyasa Maharishi is telling to Janamejaya, the king of Hastinapura, is telling, know this predestined law of that the birth, death, old age, and diseases, pain, or pleasure overtake all the jivas according to the prescribed order of nature. Never these laws fail to operate in their actions. See the devas that we see with our physical eyes. The sun and moon yield pleasure to all. Still they suffer always troubles at the hands of their enemies. Rahu and Ketu, that is, they always take place regularly. Solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. When they are in the ascending and descending modes, this suffering is never removed. The son of the sun god, is Saturn, Shanideva, is always injurious to the people. Hence it is termed manda, bad. The moon was attacked with the consumption and bears stain on his body, spots in the moon disk. What to speak of ordinary men? The great men even are subjected to the prescribed laws of fate and nature. The creator of the world, the four-faced Brahma, is the author of the Vedas and awarder of intelligence. He too, on seeing Saraswati, his own wife, was afflicted with passion. When Sati, the wife of Shiva, left of her mortal coil, Mahadeva, though he could remove the sorrows of all, was very much moved with passion and greatly afflicted. And he was sorrow at the time of Sati's missing. Then, being burnt very much, as it were, by the fire of passion, he threw himself down into the water of the river Kalindi, and the water of that river became black color as if burnt by the burning fire of the sorrows of Shiva. O king, when Mahadeva, Rudradeva, being infatuated with Kama, went into the forest of Bhrigu and becoming naked began to copulate, the ascetic Bhrigu, seeing him in that state, exclaimed, "Oh, you are very shameless," and cursed him thus, "Let your organ drop off just now." Mahadeva then, to satisfy his thirst for passion, began to drink the water of the lake Amritavapi dug by the Dhanavas. Indra too, the lord of Devas, turned into a bull and carried Vishnu on his back on the face of the earth. What to speak where the omniscience and omnipotence disappear of Bhagavan Vishnu, who is the first of all created, all beings, and possessed of reason and discrimination. Oh, what a great wonder that he could not know about the golden deer. O Janamejaya king, you can judge yourself. The great power of Maya, that even Ramachandra was deluded by passion and very much grieved for the separation from his dear wife Sita, and wept much of her. Greatly deluded, he began to cry aloud and ask the trees, where my Sita is gone, the daughter of Janaka? Is she devoured by the rapacious animals, or whether she is stolen by some mischievous person? This sort of question Rama was asking the trees in the forest. O brother Lakshmana, I am being consumed by the fire, separation from my beloved. I will commit suicide now, and you too will die due to the separation from me. Our mother too would die when they will hear of our deaths. Shatrughna too will be very much afflicted at our death and will not hold his life. The mother Sumitra too will destroy her life, being afflicted with her son's demise. And then Bharatas and his mother desires will certainly be fulfilled. O Sita, I am very much moved by your separation. Where have you gone, leaving me here O dear-eyed, O one of thin waist, come give life to me. This is the way Rama was thinking of Sita when he was separated from Sita. All this thing happened, though Rama, of unequal prowess, roamed about weeping from forest to forest, yet he could not find out Sita. He who is the refuge of all the worlds, the lotus-eyed Rama, got entangled into the delusion of Maya and had to take refuge himself under the monkeys and Hanuman, and with their help constructed the bridge across the ocean from Rameshwara to Colombo, crossed the ocean, and was thus able to kill the valiant warriors of Kumbhakarna and Ravana in Lanka. Then Rama got back his Sita before him, but suspecting since she had been stolen by the vicious Ravana, made her take an oath, though it is to be remembered that Rama was all-knowing. O king, power of Yogamaya is very great. What shall I speak of her great power? This whole cosmos is always urged into activity by her, Yogamaya, and thus goes rolling on and on, incessantly. Thus, in various incarnations, Bhagavan Vishnu was always under the influence of previous curse and also under the control of destiny and had to do various functions incessantly. O king, now I will speak to you about the birth of Sri Krishna, Lord Krishna, in the world for serving the purposes of gods, and will narrate his Leela. In those days, on the delightful banks of the river Kalindi, there was a place called Madhuvana, where lived a powerful Daitya armed Lavana, the son of Madhu. The wicked demon was exceedingly arrogant. On getting a boon, and he used to give an enormous amount of trouble to Dvijas. Shatrughna, the younger of Lakshmana, killed that uncontrollable Daitya and built a very beautiful city there named Mathura. The intelligent Shatrughna, the destroyer of the enemies, installed his two lotus-eyed sons in that kingdom, and when his end came, went to heaven. Afterwards, on the decline of the solar race, the Yadavas, born of the race of Yayati, occupied that Mathura city, giving salvation to all. O king, there reigned in Mathura city one Yadava king, valiant warrior named Surasena, and he enjoyed all the pleasures of Mathura. Under the curse of Varuna, Vasudeva took his birth as the son of renowned. um Under the curse of Varuna, Kashyapa Maharishi, born as Vasudeva in this birth, as the son of renowned Surasena, as the part of incarnate of Kashyapa Maharishi. He took up the profession of a Vaishya and engaged himself in agriculture. He took up a profession of Vaishya and engaged himself in agriculture and looking after the cows. And on the death of his father, the prosperous and wealthy Ugrasena became the king of Mathura. The powerful Kamsa was the son of Ugrasena. On the other hand, the king Devaka had a daughter born to him named Devaki, the part incarnate of Aditi. Aditi was the wife of Kashyapa Maharishi before. Because of Varuna, given a curse to Kashyapa and Diti, the sister of Aditi, cursed Aditi. She, under the curse of Varuna, followed Kashyapa. The high-souled king Devaka performed a marriage ceremony of his daughter Devaki with Vasudeva. When this marriage ceremony was over, a voice was heard from heaven saying, O fortunate Kamsa, the eighth son of Devaki will take away your life. The powerful Kamsa, hearing that Akashavani from heaven, was surprised and took it to be true and became very anxious. Kamsa began to argue in his mind. Once he thought, I would today destroy her, then my death won't take place, for I can't see any other way of escape from this difficulty. Again he thought, she is my sister, daughter of my paternal uncle, therefore fit to be worshipped. How can I kill her? So the dual mind of Kamsa, thinking that way and this way. Lastly, he came to the final conclusion. Thus, she is the cause of my death. Though she is my sister, fit to be worshipped, to kill her will not lead me to sin, for it is enjoined by the wise. Do even a sin to avert one's own death. The sins can be remedied always by penances. Therefore, to save one's life by committing even a sinful act ought to be done by the wise. This is what he thought. The vicious Kamsa, thus arguing himself, holding the scapboard in his my hand, he drew from it the sword and dragged and caught hold of the newly married handsome woman by her hair to kill her before the presence of the public. A cry of universal consternation and distress arose on all sides. Seeing Kamsa thus ready to kill Devaki, then the warriors under Vasudeva at once raised their bows and arrows ready to fight. These wonderful, valorous warriors loudly exclaimed to Kamsa, "Leave Devaki at once! Leave Devaki at once!" And then they were finally able, out of their mercy, to release the Devamata Devaki from the hold of vicious Kamsa. The deadly battles ensued then between the powerful Kamsa and those valorous warriors on Vasudeva's side. Seeing the exceedingly terrible battle, the old Yadavas asked Kamsa to desist from such a battle and advised him thus: Devaki is your sister. You ought to pay her respects. Did you not consider even for a moment that she is a girl? O hero, you ought not to kill her at the time of this joyous of marriage ceremony of Devaki and Vasudeva. O valiant warrior, the murder of a woman is intolerable, destroyer of a fame, and most heinous crime. You should also consider that learned persons ought not to commit such dastardly acts as murdering of females, depending simply on a voice from heaven, a very ordinary thing. It may be that some of your Vasudeva's enemy has uttered that harmful word, hiding himself from your sight. No reason can be shown contrary to this. We are of opinion that to ruin your name and to destroy the house of Vasudeva, some magician expert in black magic, your enemy, has framed this voice from heaven. These only possibilities. They are confusing to the Kamsa. O king, you are a hero. Why do you fear the words of devil? We firmly believe there is no doubt that this is done by your malicious enemy to ruin your name. O king, what is destined to take place will take place. No one can stand against it. Otherwise, therefore, at this marriage festivity, you ought never to kill this, your respected sister. O King Janamejaya, though made to understand thus by the old voice of Yadavas, the king Kamsa did not desist from this purpose. Sri Vasudeva, versed in morals, told him Kamsa, these three worlds are established on truth. I say on truth that I will hand over to you all my sons born of the womb of Devaki, no sooner they are born. And if I do not deliver to you all those sons, no sooner they are born, they all my forefathers will fall down into the hell called Kumbhipaka Naraka. The descendants of Puru that were present there, hearing his truthful words, praised him repeatedly and told Kamsa, Vasudeva is a high-minded personage. He is surely not to tell a lie. Therefore, O thou blessed one, no, now leave Devaki and be free from committing the murder of woman. O king, thus made to understand by the aged high-minded Yadavas, the king Kamsa accepted the truthful words of Vasudeva and abandoned his anger. Then dunduvis and other sounding instruments were sounded, and their sounds filled the place, and all repeatedly uttered Jai Jai. Then famous Vasudeva the son of Surasena, thus pleased the king Kamsa and freed Devaki, and surrounded by his relatives, he went quickly without any fear to his own house, his own palace, accompanied by Devaki. Here ends the 20th chapter of the 4th book of Sri Mad Devi Bhagavatham, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 shlokas, written by Veda Vyasa Maha on Devaki's marriage. We will continue this in the next day. नमोस्तु अनंताय सहस्रमूर्तये सहस्रपादाक्षरसहस्रनाम्ने पुरुषाश्रुते सहस्रकोटियुगधारिणे नमः सहस्रकोटियुगधारिणे नमः आकाशोत्पलितं मितासागरं सर्वदेव नमस्कारः श्रीकेशवं परिगत्यो नमः सर्ववेदेशत्पुण्यं सर्वतीर्थेषु यत्फलं तत्फलं पुण्वाप्तिवासनाद् वासुदेवस्य वासन्ते जगत्त्रयं सर्वभूतनिवासो देवस्य मृते कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्धात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि नारायणायेति समर्पयामि नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। ओम ह्रीं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुण्डाय विच्चे ओम ह्रीं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुण्डाय विच्चे ओम ह्रीं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुण्डाय विच्चे हरि ओम।